hey, you need to pay Brazil got money. Well, I won't say, but I'll say it as politely as possible because it's not
Well,
cool.
that's
I have no problem to do this. Creating whole strategy actually, but the worst
what's
offenders that are dangerous need to get outed. Partly as an example, but people that owe money by itself, I don't think that that's exactly the best approach. Certainly not immediately, but the people that are there's differences to the people, right? So with you, I don't know your situation with the people that owe money, um, but at minimum, I'm happy to like text or even like go up and say like, hey, you need to pay Brazil got money. Well, I won't say, but I'll say it as politely as possible because it's not
well,
cool.
that's
You
that's
gotta
very
owe
nice
them.
of you.
You got Yeah. I have no problem to do this. I can go into it more if you'd like, but
Sure, yeah.
start with the polite way and the nice way first before going crazy and like ruining people's lives.
No, I think that's really cool, and I have a couple questions for you. So, um, I agree with you. I think like most people, right? Like most people don't set out to scum other people or like a pool of people. Like I think you know, I think there's a reason why at the casino, when you play a table game, you have to have the chips in front of you. You can't say like, "I'll bring it downstairs. I'll bring it to you in 10 minutes." Right? Like,
Yeah, I get the
you know,
chips in my pocket.
yeah, the casinos like they're experts at making you part ways with your discretionary income into their table games, right? Or like their slots or whatever it is. Um, so I think that most people, at least like most cases I've seen, is like they do intend to pay you back, but then they get so deep and then they lose more, and then they don't have it, or maybe like they have it, um, but it's between paying you and buying into another tournament, so it's like I don't know. Um, so but I do think and I'm not like making excuses for these people, right? It's just I think that's kind of uh, how it starts, and then depending
Yeah,
on their actions post getting into this quicksand, then it determines if they're a scumbag or not.
yeah,
But I think the social pressure really helps. And actually, so when we were running this app game during the pandemic, because it was a no rate game, um, you know, it's not like people paid the host and the host redistributed the money to the winners. We had like a spreadsheet of everyone that played, and the pool like kind of like everyone kind of knew each other for the most part, or like at least like 80% or 90%. So we said, hey, Dan, you're gonna pay John, Bob, you're gonna pay Paul, and the spreadsheet was open to everybody, so everybody could see how much everybody owed. And whenever you made a payment, you went and you posted in the chat like, okay, I paid him 10K, and then you know the 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 debt of one guy would go down to zero, and the credit to another guy would go up by 10K, and everybody could see it. So if you owed the game for a couple weeks, and you're supposed to settle like each week, people saw it. They're like, hey,
hmm
you know, so and so still owes 5K, or he hasn't squared up, and he's still playing. Hey, should he be playing? So it was kind of like just like the natural. That was like social pressure enough, and with the exception of one outlier, like that worked really well. But my question for you is like, what do you think about a system where, um, I was thinking like, okay, like what if there's like an app or a website or
yeah. What
something?
if
What
I'm
if
working
like
on it? All right, but this is my
okay,
original idea, dude. Or at least now
okay.
it's back in the scene a little bit. But holy man,
When I joined as like a co-founder of my old trading firm, I was 29. I had left like a normal firm, and a developer of mine was like, "Hey, let's like, I'm going to start up this firm. You know, join me." And the only reason I did was because I was like, man, my knowledge is worth more now if I get to keep most of it than if I give it to this like other place and they pay me, like a bonus or whatever. And then I just was kind of like co-running a firm with him, but not because I wanted to be like a business owner necessarily or like whatever. It just kind of happened naturally. And in this case, like like you mentioned like get good at this and then do this and this and I 100% agree. Like there's a reason that in an airplane they tell you put on your mask first before assisting others. All right, for you to like assist somebody or like a team into developing like an app or like a website or like a company, whatever it is, you sort of have to like have your ducks in a row
Yeah.
first. But as far as like the app or like the site goes or whatever, like my general thought or full disclosure, I have no interest in like actually taking time to do this, at least not anytime soon. But it would be like, okay, Dan, I'm in LA. I want to play, the Hustler stream. I didn't wire anything. I don't have any cash. I need 100K. And you're like, okay, Brazil God, like sounds like I don't know, seems like a good guy or whatever, but it's still 100,000. Like, yeah, I'm 90% sure he's fine for it, whatever.
90% is not a
But
great ratio.
no, it's the no, whatever, But let's say that there's like a thing where you can post on, like, sure, like send me a request, like a debt request on XYZ app, and I'll approve it and then I'll give it to you. So now there's a ledger created for whoever has this app, like, oh, this guy owes this guy, and it's there and it's public and it's safer for both sides. Like, like I send you a request. If the request looks good, you accept, and then you pay me the money or whatever. The hard part, I think, is to get immersion, to get everybody from stop using like a text message way of saying booked, this action's booked or this debt is booked, and using this kind of like social pressure platform. But then like people can log in and say like, hey, wait a second, like this guy has a bunch of requests outstanding, or like
Yeah.
debts outstanding. Like
Well, this
I'm
is
gonna check in.
exactly you're getting like exactly into the mix of like what this would look like. I've kind of envisioned this, but basically the idea is to. I didn't even think we were going to talk about this, but basically the idea would be like, all this stuff already happens naturally. Like it already happens exactly what you're talking about, except it happens much more slowly, right? Like if you were to inquire about some dude that's trying to borrow 100K, like eventually you would find out all these requests of people that say like, oh, well, actually this guy owes all this other money. Why not just make it all visible? And now you don't have to go deal through all this bullshit of like talking to 10 different people or doing that due diligence when you just look on the app. That's
Right.
basically
Yeah,
where we're
and
heading.
it gets people that slip through the cracks because like you and I might be well connected in like high stakes home game or like private games in like LA or like Vegas or whatever. But maybe somebody else isn't, or maybe somebody's like a bookie and or like or whatever, like whatever it is. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a good idea, and I would for sure be a user of this platform. I think it would save me a lot of headaches.